As a young boy, Antoine would watch James Bond movies. Much like the other boys that age, he fell in love with the protagonist and the exuberant lifestyle he lived in those movies. Who wouldn't want to have a life of excitement, going to exotic locations, sipping martinis while girls threw themselves at them? Later in life, he'd find that in his own country, the closest thing to that was being shot at in his garden by robbers, whilst sipping cheap beer, trying to barbecue, and being turned down by women he liked over the phone. Antoine, unlike most people his age, took the next step and applied both to the CIA and MI5, but was turned down by both because he was neither an American nor a British citizen. He tried putting on American and British accents, but all the "you what, geezer" and "well, howdy, partner" would not change the fact that his chances of being an international spy were zero. This was the beginning of a theme that Antoine would come to understand all too clearly on in his life. Being a South African has very few benefits. Instead, he turned to a more practical career as a photographer. He started out shooting wildlife in Africa and slowly progressed to photojournalism, covering political events in his own country. He became quite renowned in photojournalist circles and got a few job offers to work abroad, which he turned down. That was until he saw the movie Blade Runner and fell in love with it. He pored over reviews of the film and found that a lot of people were comparing the landscape in the film to the scenery at night in Hong Kong. He went on a vacation to the metropolitan city and to his surprise found that the reviews were true. He decided to set up shop in Hong Kong and continue his career there. He found that marriage photography was a very lucrative market in Hong Kong. With 1 in 7 Hong Kongers being millionaires, there was money to be made. But as much as the money poured in, his real interest was in the political landscape of Hong Kong. This was because Hong Kong was in a bizarre point in its history. It was once a British colony, much like South Africa was, but had been handed back to mainland China in 1997 on the provision that China not make any changes to its political system until 50 years after the handover. The problem was that citizens of Hong Kong were used to a different way of life than its mainland rulers. Free speech, rule of law, and democratic elections were things which were all found in Hong Kong, but not in the mainland. And when the mainland government started to break its agreement with England and step by step take away those freedoms, the people were in an uproar. Protests started to break out and Antoine was there to cover them. For him, it was not only for interest's sake, but also a duty he felt, to let the world know what was happening there. Part and parcel of the job was looking at how the mainland portrayed the events in their media, and this was how, one day, he discovered a picture of himself in a mainland newspaper. It was all in Chinese, so he did not know why he was in the newspaper. He did have a marvelous head of hair. Perhaps that was why. People often commented on his hands and suggested that he become a hand model. This was another possible reason. He found a friend to help translate the article and discovered, to his amazement, that the Chinese government had bestowed the title of CIA agent on him. He was accused of being sent to Hong Kong by the American government to meddle in its affairs, and was part of a group with the aim of causing instability in Hong Kong. Antoine was overjoyed. His childhood dream, which he thought would never be fulfilled, had suddenly been bestowed upon him by the Chinese government. He contacted his South African friends to tell them the good news, and they too came to Hong Kong to reap the same rewards.